I'm taking you through a series of David, a study in the relationships that come after success. And if you say, well, I'm not there yet, oh yes, you have had success in many little things like we discussed in the earlier Take 10. You may be watching this one right after the other. Well, you go back and watch the first one and you'll see that all those little things brought you to the giants, which brought you to the place where you came holding Goliath's head in your hand and you had a great victory. So these things that you're going through right now are the most important things because you will revert to them all the days of your life to be the breadwinner, to bring the warrior, to bring the giant killer out of you and cause you to go back and meet those needs again. You never grow out of this place. This is in you. It's like the root of the tree. I have huge pine trees in my yard. I couldn't tell you how many. I think there's over 100 trees on this property, but I can tell you the taproot goes down, 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 down. And some of these big old trees, that taproot will go down nearly half as tall as the tree is. Why? Because that's who that tree is. And you are called by God to be a giant killer. Whether it's building that marketplace ministry, building that corporation that's going to help and take care of people around the world for the cause of the kingdom, or pastoring a local church, you are the one called by God to lead in the forefront, to be out there where the blood is flying, and to bring the bacon home. So what happens when the bacon comes home? Well, all of a sudden, you have some success. Then promotion comes. Promotion not only comes in the midst of those around you, it comes in the public. And as you're promoted, praise starts happening. Oh, he's a good guy. Wow. If you want any wisdom, go to him. Oh, yeah. I was in a meeting the other day, and I was listening to two preachers talk about me. And I was going down to settle a discussion in a situation, and the one said to the other, he was younger than the other one, he said, oh, you're bringing the hammer in. Oh, come on, But I have had the opportunity in my life to deal with very difficult situations, and God trusts me with success for all parties involved, and to bring forth the power, to bring forth the glory when two big old tall trees of the gospel get into confrontation. We're going to make it happen because we're warriors. But what happens after you hit success? Well, let me tell you, that's when it happened for David. I'd like to say these words, and then it happened. Maybe you just want to stop your car, pull it off, and listen to the last 6 or 7 minutes of this, because that's when you are most vulnerable. How did it happen? It's going to take a couple of more sessions to clear all this up, but the first thing was David was confronted with two brand new relationships. He already had over 400 men in the caves that was coming to him and finding him and looking at him. He wasn't even there yet. He was in the capital. He was being praised. But out in those caves was a manpower army that God had getting ready for one day David was going to show up. He knew nothing about this crew that was out in the caves. These people who were broke and disgusted and had been running from the law and all of that. Now, David is in the streets of Jerusalem having a fantastic time with the head of Goliath and the sword of Goliath. But in the reality, out in the fields, God was already preparing his warriors and his relationships for the future. I want to draw your attention to that very carefully, because David knew nothing about who was coming to be supportive of him. You think, oh, I finally have the supporters. I finally have the donors. I finally have the elders I'll grow old with. I would caution you about that. Even Paul and Barnabas found that they were too tight for each other, and they had to move on and go support separate things in the gospel and become great men all on their own. The power of this is that David was confronted with not one, but two relationships, and the only thing that I can draw from this today is that this showed us the two types of relationships that can come at you. So it might be 10 different people on each side of these two types of relationships. But I want you to pay very closely looking at the parallel in your life where you are blessed and where you were when you were blessed and how you got there and how open doors of opportunity came to you due to the hard-won battle relationships that you had. And now you're walking into a victory place, and it begins to cloud up on that path to where you have to find some type of future management of what your faith has brought you to. David loved to be with the sheep. He loved to write music. He loved to be alone. Now he has to figure out, how do I manage what my faith has brought me to? And is there a realization of what happened to me when that prophet poured that bottle of oil on my head and said, you will be the king of Israel? His mind was flooding, but few realize or prepare for the future of success in their journey. Now, Dave wasn't keeping a back door open. He didn't have those guys out in the cave. God had the guys in the cave. He didn't have a backup plan. He was in the streets of Jerusalem having a ball. But the fact remains that God knew there would come relationships that would cause struggles because God knew men. So already, God has your future planned. He already has backup planned for future battles. Now, don't be in that group of people who do not realize or prepare for the future of success in their journey. People have often asked me, what about your close friends? I like to say what Jesus said. He that doeth the will of God, the same is my brothers and my sisters. I was asked when I left my denomination as a young man, well, who are you going to go to? Who are you going to find? I mean, all your brothers and sisters are here. You can't walk out on the family. But the truth was God was preparing you to be in my life some 40 years ago. God was preparing for my future success of all the battles that I would face. Your journey was the same. You know, we focus so long on the battles that we have been blindsided by our old relationships. And you have to say what Jesus said when he battled right at that time when they said to him, hey, your mom and brothers and sisters are out there. They want to come in and get a good seat where you're preaching. And he said to them, who is my mother? Who is my brother? The same is the one that does the will of God. So somewhere you as a leader of your marketplace ministry, you as a leader of your church, you as the leader of your family must decide that all relationships are based upon he who does the will of God. If not, you will be blindsided by old relationships that carry forward into your new success, into your new glory, and then when God does not get the praise that all the people are heaping on you. I mean, the President of the United States, in the year that I left my denomination, and everybody was telling me, you're a crater, you're going to fall, you're going to have nothing. That year, the President of the United States of America called me forth and called me out. And all of a sudden, I had to manage new relationships that I absolutely knew nothing about, going into a city of Washington, D.C., that you cannot imagine what it felt like to a country boy from Lufkin, Texas. And I can tell you this, wherever you are, God is waiting on you. And wherever you are, God has a backup plan for the future of your life. So get ready. I want to say those words again. And then it happened. 2 relationships came. God bless you. I'll see you next time on Take 10.